All right, going live in 10. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoworld Fantasy Basketball Q&A. I'm Raphielle Johnson, joined as always by Noah Rubin. Noah, interesting times in Hawksland. Recent Trae Young news. I guess what are your kind of reactions on this?
Oh, Raph, well, I won't spend the whole episode giving all of my thoughts
Yeah.
because we have some fantasy questions that we have to get to
Yeah.
eventually. It's I don't know. It's a lot to think about, especially with reports/rumors that Washington's interested. I think that fit is interesting, but more so the timing of why they'd be interested in Trae Young right now, other than buying low on value.
Yeah.
Um, is any other team really interested? Because I see some potential good fits, but does any of those teams or do any of those teams really want to part with value to get Trae Young? What is his value?
Mm-hmm.
It's depending on who you ask. A lot of people are saying you have to part with draft picks to give up a former All NBA point guard that averaged like 25 and 10 last season. So I don't know. He's got his flaws, but I think that the value piece is very, very weird. But
Mm-hmm.
if he's able to land with a team that wants to just put the ball in his hands, which not saying the Hawks don't want to do that when he's healthy, I think it could be a good thing for him
Mm-hmm.
for fantasy, and maybe he's able to redeem his value and be able to earn a big contract. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a very weird saga because it seemed like this team was built really well around him and that
Mm-hmm.
they could have been in line for a really fun season. But then he got hurt, and Kristaps Porzingis has been out of the lineup,
Yeah.
and they've been. I mean, not so much recently, but they had some really good stretches of Trae out of the lineup. So I don't know. I'm not fully sold on. Yeah, they have to get rid of Trae Young,
Mm-hmm.
but if he wants an extension, I'm not sold on the Hawks giving that to him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next month, and if a trade doesn't happen, what happens this summer.
Yeah, I think two other factors are that one, Nikhil Alexander-Walker ended up being better than a lot of people may have
Oh
thought.
yeah,
Then the other thing, as big of a leap as Jalen Johnson made last season, I don't know if a lot of people expect him to make another leap, which is what's happened. So you add all that together, and you don't want to say that Trae is expendable, but it's a situation where they don't need to revolve around him anymore. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens. He's got that player option for about 49 million next year. Where he goes, what he does with that, and then like you said with the market, would he get equal value to that if he were to opt out? So it's a lot on the play here. I'll just go ahead and quickly address the elephant in the room. Yes, the Knicks got punked last night. So, so yeah,
Dang, I have like Piston stuff I could have worn too. My bad. I
I have
gotta
a
drop the
Pistons
ball
hat.
on
That
things.
like, yeah, we're not doing that. But yeah, it was pretty bad. So we got a few questions lined up. So we're gonna get right into those right now. First is Evelyn, who's back. Thanks for tuning in as always. Daniel Gafford or Nimash Keta in a 9-cat?
I think Kata is who
Yeah.
I'd roll with. Just he's been a starter all season. Gafford's been in and out of the starting lineup. He's Gafford's very capable of being a good
Mm-hmm.
fantasy option, but the minutes haven't been there consistently. And I think if you're banking on an Anthony Davis trade resulting in a Daniel Gafford breakout,
Yeah.
that is risky because you don't know who Dallas is going to get back. So I'd rather just stick with the starting center on the number 2 team in the East that's been in that role all season.
Yeah. I think looking up the minutes, let's see. Kid is averaging 24.6 per night. Gafford is at 20.5. So that's not a huge gap, but it's enough of a gap where you're like, all right, I'd rather commit to Keita than Gafford. And plus the Anthony Davis factor. Like he may not, like we've said in the past, he may not like playing the 5, but he's usually at his best when he's at the 5 as opposed to the 4. I know they've gone back to that lineup, but I think that kind of limits Gafford's ceiling as well. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I'd rather have Niamashi as well. All right. Isaac, thanks for tuning in. 12-team 9-cat head-to-head. He's managing 7 injuries with 3 IL spots. He's in fourth place, but the standings are tight. And he's thinking of dropping PJ Washington for Brandon Williams. Missed out on Max Christie. Says the waiver wire is pretty thin in his league. What are our thoughts on this?
Off the top of my head, I want to say I don't love that trade or that swap. Especially because Brandon Williams is still coming off the bench. I know PJ Washington got hurt, but Brandon Williams has been able to score. But the other stats haven't come super consistent, like the assists to an extent. I don't know. I'd rather just stick with PJ Washington's more well-rounded production, unless I was missing a timeline on him missing an extended period of time.
Yeah, I don't. They're pretty close over the last week, but it kind of feels like one of those overreaction moves, unless we find out that PJ is going to be out for an extended period. But yeah, like Brandon Williams is averaging 7 boards per game over the last week. Like that's not sustainable for him. And even with that, he's still on Basketball Monster outside of the top 150. So yeah, I think I'd rather hold unless you hear something about PJ Washington missing an extended amount of time. Then you probably want to make the move, but I don't think it's worth making that move right now. Okay, follow-up question. Would you consider dropping Jakob Poeltl, Ace Bailey, or Isaiah Hartenstein? I feel like Ace is close, got that questionable tag instead of doubtful yesterday, and is Poeltl ramping up? I know you wrote on Monday that he's been cleared for contact, so may not be too far off there.
Yeah, I mean, like with pretty much all these, I feel like it just comes down to who are you picking up instead. Not really loving the idea of dropping any of these guys, but it would depend on who else is sitting there on the waiver wire. Like, I expect Pearl to be back fairly soon if he's been cleared for contact. Like, I don't think he'll be out much longer. And then I would assume that there's some level of ramp up period, but based on that, I assume he's back in the starting lineup within a few weeks. Isaiah Hartenstein, like he's a starter when he's available, and Ace Bailey's pretty much locked in as a starter as well. So, and I think all of them are holding that role for the rest of the season as long as they're healthy. So if you're trying to stream in like a part-time or like temporary starter, I feel kind of iffy about it. But it would depend on who it is.
Yeah, I think the only one I would consider in the short term is Ace. But rest of the season, I'd want to have him rostered because there's going to come a point after the trade deadline. I think a lot of those young guys in Utah are going to get a lot of minutes. Just improve the draft lottery odds for one, and then see what they have in those guys for two. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be too thrilled about dropping any of them, but if you needed to make a move now, I think Ace would be my pick of the 3, and probably try to stash the other 2. I'm going to skip because we got another Poeltl question from Jamal. What are your thoughts on Poeltl when he comes back? Do you think he's worth the pickup?
I do. I think he will be. I think like he doesn't seem like he's been healthy all season. So the fact that they're giving him time to recover and get healthy, I assume when he comes back, he'll look more like himself, and they may slowly ramp him up, and there may be times where he's out of the lineup. But I think he'll be good enough when he gets back that he should absolutely be worth rostering. And if he's as healthy and as, I guess, able to produce the way that he did last season and like in previous seasons, like he's absolutely worth a pickup.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past. He's like a top 100 player, can even sneak into the top 75 in the right circumstances. So he would be worth picking up once he's healthy. Like Noah said, you're probably going to be dealing with a minutes restriction of some sort early on. So that'll be a case where if you have like Sandro Mamukelashvili, probably not going to drop him immediately, but that's something to keep an eye on in the short term. So, yeah, he's definitely worth picking up once he's back. All right, Wemby, thanks for tuning in again. 9-cat 12 team, which players are you looking to stash? I want to say we discussed this on Friday, but
just like in general, I mean,
yeah, I'm not a
I guess it.
Go ahead.
Is this like I think we've kind of discussed this. Like we're not big on stashing for the trade deadline,
Mhm.
just because if star players going out, multiple rotation players are probably coming back. So
Yeah.
it's if we're talking about stashing just for the end of the season, we're looking at a lot of these tanking teams,
Mhm.
or not saying they're tanking right now, but like teams that are going to
Bad.
be in the lottery.
Yeah.
Yes. That have a potential to get the number one overall pick, or at least the top 3 picks. So like could definitely see the Kings, but again, if they're shipping guys out, then they're bringing probably young players back. But you could look at like, I don't know, because actually I don't know who's really like definitely locked in as staying in Sacramento. A lot of the Jazz young guys, some of the Wizards young guys, Nets young guys. Jaeger Dioman is a
Mhm.
player that I think is worth stashing and should be pretty good down the stretch of this season. So
Yeah, I think him. Noah Clowney in Brooklyn's
mhm,
another one. I think in Sacramento, the only guys I would kind of bet on staying for sure, Keegan Murray, and then
mhm.
they really like Neat Clifford as well. So I'd kind of bet on him, probably Reynaud
Yeah.
as well. So those 3 guys, but you never know. I think Scott Perry seems to have a bit more of an idea of what he wants to do. It's just a matter of actually executing it and being able to do it without interference from other members of the front office, so to speak. So yeah, I think that's, if anything, not huge on stashing, but you're kind of looking at those teams that are at the bottom of the standings and looking for young players that shown some promise and enough promise to make you think that after the trade deadline, they're going to get more opportunities to show what they can do and whether or not they can fit in the team's long-term plans. Jiggy, good afternoon to you as well. Kobe White is still on his waiver wire in 12 team, dropped him last week, but even before the injury, he was hurting more categories than helping. Would you drop Mamu, Reynaud, or Trey Jones to pick up Kobe White?
Ooh, gosh. I mean, like, oh, maybe Mamu.
Yeah,
Don't really
that's
want to drop right now because
mhm.
Sabonis is still out for a while. It's just who do you think is gonna be back first, Josh Giddey or Pirtle? I feel like Pirtle, and plus Mamu, like he's been good, but he's
Yeah.
been coming off the bench recently. Like Trey Jones has been awesome as a starter. Well,
Mhm.
actually, he was awesome in his first start, and then he was bad in his second one. So would probably still lean Mamu, but dang, those are some really good streaming options that you hate to drop. But I think Kobe White, the season long value is too hard to give up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be willing to drop any of these guys, to be honest with you. So I think Jones he'll have a pretty good runway with Giddy out as well. Maybe that lasts for like another week or so, but like you said, what Kobe really hasn't been as good in fantasy as a lot of us expected him to be. So
Sure.
I don't know. You may be able to wait this out a little bit. Um, Mamu, even though he's not always starting, he's still getting good minutes. Reynaud is a definite no for me. Like I'm not dropping him. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'd rather hold these. I think if anyone were to be dropped, it would probably be Mamu, but I wouldn't feel too good about doing that. Okay, Wimby has a Tuesday specific question. What players are you looking to stream today?
Um, who plays?
Washington and Sacramento are in action today. So I think Trey Johnson would be an option for me, especially with Keyshawn George out.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell's out, so
Yeah.
that could open up a lot for Cleveland. Jalen Tyson's
Mhm.
questionable, so I mean, I would stream Tyson if he plays, but if he doesn't,
Craig
could go
Porter
like
Jr. maybe.
maybe,
Not going
or
to get
like
you scoring, but assists,
get
rebounds, steals.
if you need threes, maybe Sam Merrill.
Yeah.
Um, don't really feel good about streaming any Pacers. Jalen Suggs is out, so if you need assists, Tyus Jones.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say this: Anthony Black is still available in more than half of Yahoo leagues right now.
That's gotta just be because like there's
The high
so many
score game.
inactive. So
Yeah.
many inactive leagues. Like, it just has to
Hmm.
be like for,
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of those
It's just,
percentages end up being so wonky where I'm like, yeah, this player's been top 50 for like a month, and it's like,
mhm.
oh, he's rostered in 20%. I'm like, okay, so clearly just people aren't paying attention anymore, I guess. So I don't know. Those numbers get frustrating, but
Yeah.
I agree. If Anthony Black is there, absolutely. And I think, frankly, in high score leagues, he probably needs to be stream rostered as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anthony
New
Edwards is
Orleans.
questionable. That could open up something.
Is Mike Conley even worth the risk anymore? Or do you kind of think of like I don't know.
I was thinking like wasn't Bones Highland starting
Yeah.
previously
That's,
and he was playing
mhm.
pretty well. Like that could be maybe a little bit riskier. Wemby could be back, but if he's not, Cornette. Uh, yeah, I think that's a pretty decent list.
Mhm. Yeah. That's all right. On to Cleveland. Max Drew's still out 4 more weeks. Is Jalen Tyson a hold? What about Sam Merrill?
I'd say yes for Jalen Tyson and Merrill, maybe. Kind of depends on if you need his 3-point value or not.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say yes for Jalen Tyson for sure.
Yeah. Merrill has been a bit more of a specialist than anything. So
Mm-hmm.
category leagues, I would definitely hold on to Tyson. Um, and I think even when everyone's healthy, they're going to have to find a place for him just because of what he brings defensively. The
Yep.
offense probably going to take a hit, but I think everything he brings to the table is what that rotation needs on the wing right now. So I don't see him falling to a point where he can't be rostered in standard leagues, to be honest with you. Well, I wouldn't say standard leagues, but in deep leagues. So yeah, I would hold on to Jalen Tyson. Okay, is Herb Jones a must roster in 9 cat 12 team?
I'm gonna say no. Not that you can't roster him, but I don't think he like is a must roster player.
Mhm.
Really just depends on how you have built your team and what categories you're punting. Very good for certain builds, completely like borderline irrelevant in others.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's brought enough to the table defensively to make up for the poor shooting. So I can't call him a must roster in 12 team leagues. Just kind of weird because it seemed like he was on a trajectory to be that type of player, but it just hasn't happened this year, unfortunately. Aditya, happy belated New Year to you as well. Got so many injuries: Jeremy Grant, Keyshawn George, Zach Edey, and Kyrie. Stashing still worth it, or should I drop the stream?
Uh
Who's this? The other part.
yeah, that is good that Claxton's back. So let's
Mhm.
see. 3 IL spots. Um Ooh, that's tough because we don't like I haven't seen any sort of update on Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
So don't really know when or if he's going to be back. So I think it just kind of depends on how flexible, like where your team is in the standings. Like
Hmm.
if you're doing pretty good, top couple teams going to make the playoffs for sure, then I would maybe, just kind of hold on to the best players. But if you're really needing the extra production right now, I think dropping Kyrie is totally fine. Um, because I don't think it's guaranteed that he's back in time for fantasy playoffs, especially like we've said this with a couple other teams, but like Dallas is only 2.5 games back of the play-in, but they're out of the play-in tournament right
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
So like there's definitely a chance that they're like, we have 13 or 23 losses and the Pacers have the worst record at 30 losses. Like if we really tank, like we could get a top 3, 4, or 5 pick this
Mhm.
year. So I don't know for sure. I want to think that they would like to see Kyrie Irving play alongside Cooper Flag, but if it gets to a point that I could definitely see them just saying, we'll figure it out next year.
Yeah, it's tough because you don't want to be the one who drops Kyrie and then he's out there and he shows out like the during fantasy playoff season. But he got hurt in late March last year. I know ACL recoveries have improved over the years, but I don't know in Dallas's spot. I don't know if you risk it. You know, you're trying to. You have one first round pick that'll be yours until 2031, and it's this year. And with this draft class, I kind of feel like they'd be better served to get another player who would be on Cooper Flag's timeline and take a swing that way. While the other Keyshawn George, Zach Edey, they should probably be back. I'm still confused by what's going on with Jeremy Grant in terms of Achilles tendinopathy. That doesn't seem like a day-to-day situation, but they've kind of announced it as if it is. But man, I think if everyone were guaranteed to come back, I would probably drop Grant out of the 4. But since we don't know anything about Kyrie, I think if you're going to drop anyone, it might have to be him. But obviously, that comes with considerable risk if he comes back. So,
of course, Rap's baseline advice: just drop Jeremy Grant. Just get him off your roster. It'll be better in the long run.
as well as he played to begin the year, I think we have to be honest about the overall track record, especially in 12-team 9-cap leagues. That's what I'm saying.
I don't disagree.
All right. Jiggy would like to know Colin Murray Boyles or Sandro Mamukelashvili. Which one are we rostering?
Ooh, that's tough because, like, prior to last night, it would have to be Mamu, but Murray Boyles just had like the ideal Colin Murray Boyles game.
Yeah,
like I think it was 18, 7 and 7 with 2 steals, 2 blocks. Like, that's kind of where it was like, okay, like that's why they drafted him. That's why we liked him in fantasy. So, like, does that continue, or is it like, I don't know. Mamu's been more reliable. So I'd probably lean Mamu, but it's definitely more of a conversation after that game last night. Because if Colin Murray Boyle's able to keep doing that,
it'd
be fantastic.
And he got 31 minutes. I think, let's see here. That may be the first time he's passed 30 in like a month, if I'm not mistaken, but I can pull up the game log. Actually, it was his first 30-minute game since early November. And I think that Colin played well enough last night to earn that type of playing time, at least for a little while longer. So I would not blame you or anyone if they wanted to take a swing on the upside. I think he offers a higher upside in terms of fantasy value. But again, for both players, it kind of hinges on when Pirtle gets back. So overall, I think Mamu, but given what we saw last night and the potential, you can make an argument for either one of these guys, to be honest with you. Wish we had a more definitive answer for you, but yeah.
Neither's terrible. I think that's part of it. Is it's not like you're trying to decide between 2 bad options. You're deciding between 2 good options. So.
All right, the commish is back. Our playoffs begin February 23rd, NBA weeks 18, 19, and 20. Basically a lock for the playoffs and 9-cat head-to-head. When should I start looking for good rest of season players versus week-to-week streamers? At 20, you're on a roster, but you start 10, and it's a 10-team league.
I think if you're it's tough to say because so much is going to change. Well, in theory, a lot can change after the trade deadline in a month. But there are some players that you can start looking at now that are fairly productive now, but should be good down the stretch, which is, we mentioned this earlier, some like the Nets guys, the Jazz guys, the Wizards guys. But I think, it also depends on if you're able to get a buy. because if you're able to get a bye week, I don't know if depends on if this league has it or not. But if you're able to get a bye and you have like a limited amount of moves per week, you can sit there during that bye week and make some moves to get your roster really ready for the next 2 weeks. Like look at how many games are being played, and try and maximize that. So you can start looking ahead now. I wouldn't be too aggressive with it. But you can, I don't think it's bad to start trying to look at a couple options here and maybe less like stop prioritizing these week to week streamers. Like if you don't really need it, just I think I would just prioritize some of those guys that'll help you in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I think early on you're certainly going to track those teams that are at the bottom of the standings that don't really show much signs of getting back into the play-in or playoff hunt. That's where you start. Then just to give yourself a little time, because as we've seen with like the trade rumor mill, a lot can change from day to day, much less week to week. So I think I wouldn't look to start adding people until late January. So you still got a couple weeks to evaluate things, see how rotations play out and whatnot. And then you can make your moves. And like Noah said, if you have a bye week, that's where you can kind of make some moves and target teams who have really good schedules for those last 2 weeks. So nothing really, you don't really need to do too much drastic right now, but give yourself a little time, and in a couple weeks, you may be able to make some big moves. So. All right. And Nick would like to know, do you think Trae Young increases, decreases, or holds value if/when he gets traded?
Well, this is going to be the loaded question, isn't it? It really depends on where he lands.
Yeah.
The only rumored team specifically is Washington. What does that look like? I don't know, because the Wizards right now have the 4th best odds. I really don't think that they're trading for Trae Young to say, okay, let's push for the play-in tournament. But I also think Trae Young is good enough where it's like they're currently 6 games out of the play-in.
Yeah.
They would like their lottery odds wouldn't be as good. Like he's good. He's not okay. He's going to get them into the playoffs, but he's good enough where it's like they're probably going to have a chance to make the play-in tournament, depending on how bad things are over the next month and if it when the trade happens and how healthy he is. So could it be, and I think I texted you this earlier, Raph, but a situation like Toronto last year where they traded for Brandon Ingram and then he was out for the rest of the season. Like I could see that with Washington, because it's like if you have a lineup of Trae Young, Bilal Coulibaly, Keyshawn George, Cam Boozer, if they get really lucky, Caleb Wilson, and then Alex Sarr, like that's a really good young team with a high-level point guard that would have a lot of defense around him to make up for the fact that he's not a good defender, and enough offense around him where he's not asked to do it all and just trying to figure it out. Like he'll have some. So I could see that working out, but that's not good for him this year. But that's the only team that we can really we can say, hey, maybe Minnesota, maybe Houston, maybe Toronto, but there hasn't been any reported interest. So we could speculate on that, and I think his trade value will be good. Obviously, it's better than what it has been, but he has been on the court. So I don't know. It's very, very hard to say at this point.
Yeah, I think the bigger priority for Washington is just to make sure they finish within the top 8. Outside of that, the first round pick goes to New York. They hold it, conveys into 2 second-round picks. So as much as they probably like to win the draft lottery again, I think the main thing is to make sure that they don't end up 9th in the draft lottery, because then you lose that pick. So I don't know. Like Noah said, we don't really know where Trae Young's going to land, what the priorities of that team are. If he lands on a playoff team, then it's a question of how much does he have to adjust his game and how much does that team have to adjust their system to fit him in if he goes to a playoff-bound team. So, yeah, I don't think we can answer this definitively, to be honest with you. But I guess that's part of the fun of the trade rumor mill, right?
It's what makes it fun. It's what
Yeah.
keeps a lot of people's jobs busy.
Exactly. All right. Well, Şengün out for 2 weeks. Steven Adams gained some value. 9 cat, 12 team.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's going to be starting.
Mm-hmm.
Does he gain enough value to be worth streaming? Depends on how bad you need rebounds.
Yep. Commissioner, we appreciate you as well. Thanks for sending in your questions. Interesting. Yegor Dioman was dropped in the 16 team. Should I use 7th waiver on him and drop Trey Jones?
I would.
Yeah.
Well, say this. Depends on where you are in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dioman's going to be really good down the stretch and potentially hold more value than Trey Jones, depending on who's healthy in Chicago. But Trey Jones is better right now.
Yeah.
So do you need the production now? Do you need the production later?
I'm doing it. I think even with the Nets having 3 rookies who can play lead guard in terms of him, Nolan Traore, and Ben Seraph, they're probably going to want to see a little bit more of those two, but I don't think that it's going to come at Dioman's expense just because of his size and shooting ability. They can easily play him off the ball when that time comes. So I would definitely make that move. Now, the one caveat is that if you're in a dogfight for a playoff spot right now, you may have to hold on to Trey, but to be honest with you, I think I would rather have Dioman either way. So I'm picking him up for sure. All right. Guess we can wait for some more questions to trickle in, but yeah, and there's the announcement. Max Strus will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So, sheesh.
Yeah, Cleveland's been able to stay afloat, but also Max Strus isn't like truly. Let's see. I was gonna see. I remember seeing a DeJounte update or something about DeJounte. But I'm trying to see. He is making progress. They hope to get him in our building soon. This is from James Borrego. Doing work to get ready to be back here. In the next month, we'll have a little bit more clarity on where he's at, but he's made progress, significant progress. So I don't know. That doesn't say too much other than, yes, over the past 11 months, he's improved.
Yeah.
Does that mean that they're going to use him a lot? I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, and apparently James Borrego also joked that Murray and Jason Tatum are racing to see who can return sooner. And when you consider that Jason ruptured his Achilles in May, that's not funny. Especially if you're hoping to get some type of value from Murray going into the fantasy playoffs. So
yeah, it is really good to get an update and somebody saying something, because it had been a while.
Yeah,
but I think I said this in our last Q&A. It's like, does that mean he's going to come back this year with how bad their record is? Not necessarily. If he does that mean he's going to be starting and playing 25 minutes per game even? I don't think so. But it is good to get an update. It would be cool to see him back out on the floor. But I don't know that I'm like stashing him unless I have the best record in my league and I'm like very comfortable taking that chance, because he's still he's been a really, really good fantasy player in the past. But if we look back to what he was doing at the beginning of last season, he wasn't great then. Specifically the field goal percentage was atrocious. He started to figure things out right before he got hurt, and the other counting stats were good. But for a while there, it was pretty rough for him. So I don't know. I'm not saying if he played, he's worth stashing.
Yeah.
but I'm just not optimistic that happens or that he sees a full workload.
Yeah. Plus, you got Jeremiah Fears in the fold now. So
You do. And Jordan Poole.
Yep. All right. Wemby is thinking of dropping Steven Adams for Herb Jones because of the free throw percentage, but all of his rebounders are hurt. Kind of feel like you shouldn't do that unless you're willing to sacrifice that category. I don't know.
I think I'm going to drop Adams for Herb Jones. Yeah, if you're going to punt rebounds, then I don't think that's a bad decision, especially because that'll definitely hurt or help your steals. So,
okay, what are your thoughts on Porzingis for the rest of the season? 9-cat, 12 team.
Well, there's rumors of him being involved in an Anthony Davis trade. So that changes things. I mean, it's like, for the most part, when he's on the floor, he's going to be really, really good. But being on the floor just hasn't happened consistently. And the Hawks have been kind of limiting his minutes. So I still think he's worth rostering. How much upside there is he worth? Maybe trading or like trying to buy low on, maybe, because the upside is still really fun. And say he just has a couple healthy weeks in a row around your fantasy playoffs, like that's league winning upside there.
Yeah, he's not going to shoot as poorly as he has since returning. I think he's at like 28, 29% from the field. That's not going to hold. You expect him to be better as he gets more minutes and shakes off some of that rust. But yeah, I think he'll be fine. If you have him, I would just kind of hold on to him, remain patient. So. And also, what are we thinking about Grayson Allen for the rest of the season? 9-team, 12-cat.
I mean, definitely worth rostering. That first game back was rough. But I think I'd rather look at what he's done all season as opposed to what he did in one game back after missing a lot of time. Yeah. He did come off the bench, but I expect that he'll be starting within a couple games. And we've seen him be a really, really good source of threes, both last season for stretches and this year. So I guess maybe it was that more 2 years ago that I'm thinking of where he was really, really good?
2 years ago.
Goodness, time flies. Yeah, last year was... Yeah, last year was...
he was a bit banged up last year. But
right, and Mike Budenholzer didn't want to start him.
Yeah.
That was 3 coaches ago, I'm thinking. I guess 2 coaches ago, but whatever.
Yes, even with the poor shooting last night, still got 6 assists and 4 steals. Now, I don't know if those numbers are sustainable, but you also have to figure he's going to shoot the basketball better than he did last night. So I think his fantasy value will be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. You talked about Daniel Gafford earlier, but is he worth stashing 9-cat, 12 team?
No. I just don't really see the path to super upside here unless you're just banking on Anthony Davis getting hurt and Daniel Gafford staying healthy, which neither feels like... Sure, maybe you can assume that Anthony Davis is going to deal with some sort of injury at some point just because that happens. But I mean, Daniel Gafford, he's been fairly hurt and doesn't necessarily play a ton of minutes consistently. So I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, if this were a deeper league in terms of teams, then I guess I would stash him, but standard league, no. All right, Nick, I have so many fringe guys on my roster. Doesn't feel great, and they're all guards, ironically. Do you think Max Christie, Caleb Love, A.J. Mitchell, and Jalen Tyson can become holds?
I would say that Jalen Tyson and AJ Mitchell are holds. I think
Yeah.
Max Christie's capable of that.
Hmm.
I don't think Caleb Love is. I think Caleb Love is good and has shown a lot and is an intriguing player in Dynasty.
Hmm.
I'm not super optimistic that he's going to be a consistent standard league guys, unless you're just really looking for the scoring, because that's been there very consistently recently. But when it comes down to it, like they have other scoring options that they're going to lean on more than Caleb Love.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm just not super optimistic about him being worth rostering rest of the season.
Plus, he's still on a two-way. Like he'd have to get put on a standard contract in order to make that happen. So, yeah, I agree with that. Mitchell and Tyson are the guys who should be rostered right now. Christie's been on a bit of a heater, but I need to see a bit more from him before I'm willing to commit to him. Love, similar situation, plus the plus the contract status. So, yeah.
I think also Jeremy Grant, when he returns, what does that do
Yeah.
for Caleb Love, Scoot Henderson, Drew
Scoot, yeah.
Holiday? So
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see here. When looking at trending players to add, we look at Basketball Monster in the last week, 2 weeks, or what is your process?
I don't really look at any sort of
Yeah,
trending players list, but that's probably because I'm spending an absurd amount of time looking at box scores and keeping
yeah,
up with who's playing
exactly.
well. Uh, so I typically am not looking too much at trends.
Hmm.
Um, you can use Basketball Monster. I think each app has a list as well.
Yeah,
But my process is that I'm like, I don't know, this probably sounds weird, but like just like doing my own research in the sense that I'm looking at all the box scores, looking at the trends of
yeah.
rotations and quotes every way, just because I need to do that to write blurbs.
Hmm.
So that's my process.
Yeah, we spend so much time doing actual work that it kind of just comes with it. I think, if you're not in our position, obviously, you're going to want to use those different data points that are available to kind of make your decisions. But I think more than anything, it's about playing time and opportunities the guys are getting. Is it sustainable? Is it something where they've received like a big boost in playing time, or is it kind of remain the same if they're just getting more opportunities with the minutes that they're getting? So I think that more than anything, that's what you're going to want to look at, because the numbers sometimes may not have the context that you need to make the decisions. So it's the best way I can put it. All right, Kyle is back with a dynasty question. Any thoughts on Rob Dillingham's current and long-term dynasty outlook? Doesn't seem to be improving at all in year 2.
Yeah. So here, I have my dynasty rankings right here. So let me see where I bumped him down to. I have him at 159. It hasn't really improved much in year 2, and it's frankly a little bit concerning. I did have him much higher previously, and I think a lot of people had him much higher previously. Very interested to see what the plan is here, because
Yeah.
it's like there's been opportunities for him to step in and take minutes, and they haven't given it to him for one reason or another. Like, hopefully we find out at some point. So I don't know if they're like, hey, he's just not ready to contribute the way we need him to be ready to contribute, because we're not here for development. We're here to win games. So, and they're just playing the long game here. That's very possible. So I don't really think there's too much you can do here if you have him on your roster other than try and be a little patient. I wouldn't be offloading a very talented guard or guard prospect just because he hasn't gotten an opportunity yet. But I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the fact that he just hasn't gotten much of an opportunity.
Yeah. All right. I assume this is, let's see, this is a trade question. Kevin Porter Jr. for Ja Morant in a 12-team head-to-head 9-cat league.
That's
And
crazy.
How did we even get to this point?
Yeah, I love these like scenarios though, where it's like insert player that there's no way anyone's really like wanting to trade when they draft him.
Mhm.
And would you trade him for insert player that like, well, Kevin Porter Jr. was like a favorite late round target,
Yeah.
but it's like, I don't think that I'd be trading Kevin Porter Jr. for John Morant. I think if I had John Morant, I'd consider trading him for Kevin Porter Jr. I wouldn't feel great about it, but
Yeah.
I'd have to consider it because since he missed an extended period of time, Kevin Porter Jr. hasn't missed a game. John Morant's been in and out of the lineup.
Kevin
Porter,
he
he's
missed
been
time
better for
early in the
fantasy.
year.
Yeah, he got hurt in that first game, and
Yeah.
since he came back, he hasn't missed a game.
Yeah.
So, and he's been better
Mhm.
statistically. So, like, I think I'd just roll with Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah. I'm just shocked that from a pure basketball standpoint, or we're at a point where we're debating a trade between Kevin Porter Jr. and John Morant straight up. Like, man, the highs have been really good for Ja, but the lows have been really low. Like that's yeah, I think if I had Porter, I wouldn't move him either. I think you can certainly try to sell yourself on the upside, but Ja can't stay healthy, unfortunately. I think I saw the other night, like he played 3 straight games for the first time, like over 2 years. I
That's
don't think
gotta be 3 straight games.
I think let me see here.
No, he's earlier this season he played the
Okay.
first 6, then played
Maybe it
5.
may have been like 7 straight or something like that, but it was some wild stat that it may have been incorrect, but for all I know, it's like we've seen enough that he just can't stay on the floor. And that's a big problem in fantasy. Like
Yeah.
your upside means nothing if you aren't available. So
No, I agree. And it's not like, I mean, he did have that 40-point game the other night, a couple double doubles recently, but strictly 9 cap value, which obviously doesn't tell the whole story.
mm-hmm.
Kevin Porter Jr. is 17th this year, and John Morant is 183. So I don't think that this is like a let me sell high on Kevin Porter Jr. and buy low on John Morant. Like, absolutely not. But then if you have Ja, I feel like it would hurt to trade him like just based off name value, but I think it's something you definitely have to take a look at. But that's if you have Ja. If you have Kevin Porter Jr., I don't think that there's any way that you're saying, yeah, I'll take John Morant. So it's a weird thing. So maybe that is a clear sign that if you have Ja and you're able to trade him for Kevin Porter Jr., that you just do it.
Yeah. All right. Tom would like to know, what do you think about trading Austin Reeves for Andrew Wiggins?
I'd rather just wait for Austin Reeves to get healthy.
Yeah.
I think you'd be selling too much value to try and move him just to get Andrew Wiggins to produce right now. You're very desperate to like make the playoffs and you really can't wait on Reeves. I'd probably just look for someone better than Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, like he's been really good over the last 2 weeks, but I don't know. Given what we've seen from Wiggins overall, I just don't know if his last 2-week production is sustainable. And what we've seen from Austin Reeves when healthy, he's been elite. So, yeah, I'd prefer to swing a little bit higher in terms of what we've seen throughout the course of the entire season as opposed to the last couple weeks, if you're going to look to move Austin Reeves. So, let's see. Okay, Max Christie or Trey Jones for the rest of the season. Debating to make the swap is if Max is better long term before someone else does.
Gosh, I want to say now that Max Christie's back starting, I prefer him rest of season just because I think Trey Jones' value is very tied up in the health of Josh Giddey, which like I think it was a 2-week reevaluation period. So in theory, he could be back within a few games. It might be a little longer, but I think Max Christie has a chance to start rest of the season, which I think He has started for most of this year, only came off the bench for a handful of games. But we've said that so many times about Dallas guards. Oh yeah, this guy's gonna start rest of the season. It just doesn't stick. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if we knew that Max was gonna start for the rest of the season, I'd prefer to have him. But we don't know. So yeah. Yeah, I think I'll still go with Max for the rest of the season, but I don't feel great about it. So, yeah. Let's see here. All right. If the Grizzlies trade Ja Morant for picks, but nothing in exchange is coming, which one is supposed to be option A? Ty Jerome or Scottie Pippen Jr.? That would be a pretty wild haul if they were to get trade capital, but no player.
If it's salary filler coming back, I would assume Ty Jerome would be the starter, but I'm not necessarily confident in that. It could be Scottie Pippen. Either way, I think both would get an opportunity when they're healthy.
Yeah.
But I think my only thing here is if Ja Morant is getting traded and bringing back multiple picks, then Trae Young absolutely has to be bringing back multiple draft picks.
Yeah. That's fair.
But people are saying it's going to take picks to get rid of Trae Young. So I don't see how it would be. Yeah, you have to attach picks to get rid of Trae Young, but Ja Morant is so much better than he is. And I'm not saying like I'm not attacking you, Wemby, but I'm just saying like I'm just saying if it's not adding up to me.
Yeah, that's the math ain't mathing, right? Okay. Would you trade Steph Curry, Anthony Black, and Miles Turner for Luka Doncic and Max Christie, 14-team, 14-cat roto, and he's looking for assists?
Yes. I think you're selling high on Anthony Black because when Franz Wagner gets back, like I think he's done more than enough to prove that he's very good, but I still think he comes off the bench when this team is healthy. I think you're selling high on Miles Turner. Max Christie's not really like a big part of this deal to me. Like he's good. He's a rosterable player, especially in a 14-team league. But really, you're looking to get Luka here, and you're getting the bump and assists, so you're kind of accomplishing that. I think you're paying a price for Luka Doncic, but I think there's definitely like you could look at this a month from now and be like, "Wow, I'm glad I cashed in on some Anthony Black value."
Yeah, I'd do it. I think the one concern with Luka are the calf issues that he's had in the past, but when he's out there, he's one of the best players to have in fantasy basketball, especially when you're talking about the number of categories that your league is. So, yeah, I would do this as well. All right, Ryan Kalkbrenner hasn't had any actual updates. Do you think this injury is more serious than they let on, or just Hornets being Hornets?
Hornets being Hornets, but that could mean it's more serious than they're being let on, because that would be the Hornets being the Hornets. So, isn't that fun?
Yeah, I think for now you just get Moussa Diabate and hope he can stay relatively healthy. If he can't, like PJ Hall, like I don't know if you'd want to pick him up in fantasy. You're probably looking at other teams instead, but we've seen him make a couple starts because of all the injuries in the front court. So, yeah, it's been a really weird one. I think, what was it, like an elbow sprain? And let's see here. Yeah, sprained left elbow, but he's missed a couple weeks now. So, yeah. All right, what are we thinking about Jaden Ivey for the rest of the season? Is he worth stashing for the second half, or do you prefer to have Nikola Jovic?
I think Jovic. Ivey's interesting because Jovic has been much better recently.
Mhm.
It was the beginning of the season. Ivy's interesting because I actually think he's one of the players that could really benefit from a trade and really.
Yeah.
He's still like ramping up since missing the start of the season, but like I think a fresh start for him on a new team that wants to put the ball in his hands a little bit more, or can afford to put the ball in his hands a little bit more, would
Mhm.
be a good thing for him. But I also am not a huge fan of like trades, like banking on or stashing for trades. So I feel like Jovic is the safer stash.
Yeah. No trade coming. I would take Jovic as well. I think he's got a little bit more room to have an impact in fantasy than Jaden Ivey, just because you're on a team with a lot of good guards, and they're at the top of the East right now. So there's really not much reason for JB Bickerstaff to change how the minutes are distributed right now. So yeah, I would take Jovic as well. Okay. Well, yeah, we talked about Colin Murray Boyles earlier. I kind of feel like we would both say that he's worth the gamble at this point. But
Yeah, I definitely think he is.
mhm. Okay, who should I pick up for my empty IL spot? I've got Ace Bailey, Tobias Harris, Scoot Henderson, Herb Jones, or Cam Johnson.
Gosh. Ace, Scoot, um, one of those two. Maybe depending on what categories you need.
Mhm.
I feel like I want to go Scoot just because I'm a little bit more curious about the upside there. But Ace, I think, is definitely a really good choice, especially for what you'd be stashing for the end of the season, where you should get free reign.
Yeah, I think I'd go Ace because Cam's going to be out for a while. So that kind of takes him off the board. Tobias, probably, let's see here. I want to say he was given a 2-week reevaluation timeline. Um, yeah, and he's dealing with a hip sprain. So I don't know. I don't see too much upside in him at this point. I think he'll give you what he's going to give you, but in terms of like the fantasy upside that I think you're probably going to be looking for with an IL stash, I don't think he's worth the risk. So I would go Ace. These options that you have here. All right, if Trey Young is traded to Washington, is Justin Champagnie worth picking up?
I don't think that Washington's going to have to like break up the core to get Trey Young.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it anyway. So I don't think that there's going to be a ton of open minutes. I don't think Washington's trading 4 young guys and a couple
Hmm.
picks. Like I think it's CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, and a pick or two.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's me being idealistic, because apparently being reported that maybe the Hawks aren't interested in trading picks, but they might have to move him. So really don't know what that trade looks like. Wouldn't be picking up Champagnie just because of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, some just can't seem to drop players like Porzingis, Pirtle, Jordan Poole, Kobe White, Ben Matherin, etc., who've been supreme disappointments this season. Who are some players you guys just can't let go of?
I definitely still have a Sar Thompson rostered in too many leagues.
Yeah, he's another one.
Pirtle fits that list for me as well.
Let me pull up one of my rosters to see.
Let's see. I have Brandon Pajemski still rostered in multiple leagues for some reason. It's a good question. It's a fun question.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this list hits up. Tumani Kamara I have rostered. I mean, he's been better recently, but that's another one where you kind of bet on the defensive value, and it just hasn't really come to fruition throughout the course of the entire season. So I kind of feel like those 3-and-D wings are usually the ones that you tend to struggle to let go of, especially in category leagues. So
yeah, I think those are probably the main ones.
all right. Well, there are a couple we weren't able to get to. My apologies for that, but it is time for us to wrap this up. So I want to thank you guys once again for tuning in. We will be back at 2 p.m. on Friday, and hope to see you there. Take care.